I wanted to come on here and discuss the victims of the Waffle House shooting that occurred in Nashville, Tennessee. As you can see, these are their images. They have been released, the names and ages, and how they were affected, and their location as far as the shooting that occurred. And this is, like I said, this is all for the victims that who died. I'm gonna read all of their names and the little description that they gave of each of them based on this article written by the Tennessean, and we'll go from there. And I'm going to start from left to right, and then down the lower left corner and then the bottom right corner. The first one up, her name is Ebony Groves. It says she's 21, of Gallatin. It says friends say Grove was a brilliant young woman, a hard worker, and a tenacious basketball player. And she was also a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, which is I guess you could say a majority black sorority. Now, if y'all remember, I was saying that in the original video that the guy James Shaw Jr. was coming from a fraternity party. So she most likely was probably there. But it's so sad because she was only 21. She probably was about to graduate soon. If not this year, most likely next year, because she was at that graduating age. The next person to the right of her, his name was Joe R. Perez. It said he was 20 years old, of Nashville. It says Perez, a patron, was fatally wounded standing outside the restaurant. Now remember, I had said that 2 people were killed outside of the restaurant, and he was one of them. The next person towards the bottom left, his name is Aquila Da Silva, age 23, of Antioch. And I actually learned that location is a majority black area, and it's not far from Nashville. It says Da Silva was wounded at the restaurant and died at Vanderbilt University Medical Center, or is that medical? I think that's medical center. I think just missed a C in the article. And it also was reading up that says that he was a local rapper, so a lot of people knew who he was because he was more on the local scene. So a lot of people were familiar with him in that aspect. And the last one, his name is Torian C. Sanderlin. Yes, his name is actually the same name as the username that I have been going by for so long. His name is actually Torian, spelled the same way, Taurean. And it's on his birth certificate. That was the name that his parents gave him. Age 29, of Goodlettsville. Sanderlin was an employee of the Waffle House. I actually found out he was a cook. He was fatally wounded standing outside the restaurant. So he and Joe Perez were the 2 who were standing outside of the restaurant who were killed. And I'm going to assume that the Ebony Groves and Aquila Da Silva were killed inside. Now, it says 2 other people were shot and are undergoing treatment at Vanderbilt. It says they are Shanita Wagner, of age 21, of Nashville, and Sharita Henderson, 24, of Antioch. And I can only assume by those 2 names that both of those women are black. So here we have 4 victims who were killed by this psycho who is still on the run. And I don't know why they can't catch this motherfucker. But as you can see, they are all non-white. Now that's no coincidence there, but it lets you know that area is frequented by probably a lot of black people. And see, it was an event there. I heard that it was like a fraternity party, and there was some kind of comedy special where the whole comics going on around the same time the night before. So it's like it was perfect to go there and do what he did. Now, I'm not saying that he knew that they would be there, but he knew what location he was going to, whether they were going to be there or it was going to be for other people. But all I'm saying is, it's no coincidence that all of the victims were non-white, and that the other 2 that got shot who are undergoing treatment are also non-white as well. But they need to find this motherfucker somewhere, and they need to put it out there and say, look, They know that he's considered to be armed and very dangerous. And put it like this: if you are a civilian and you come across this guy and you happen to have a firearm, just take him out. Don't, because see, you might be wasting time trying to call the authorities, trying to get them to come to get this guy, and he could slip right through your fingers. And one thing I will have to say towards some black folks is that it's good. I know that many of us do not like watching the news, especially when it comes to things such as this. But I remember having a conversation with one of my coworkers a couple weeks ago. Well, actually last month, I could say about a month ago, when the whole Austin bombing thing happened, and I brought it to their attention, and they did not know anything about it. Like, I'm sitting there puzzled, like, how did you not know about this happening when it was all over the news? Like, you couldn't escape it. You could not outrun this story. It was everywhere, even on social media. How did you not know? So the reason I say that is because if you don't know about a story like this and this guy is on the run, you could potentially be letting a killer slip right through your fingers. Like, say you work at a store and he just happens to stop in and he tries to disguise himself, but you can clearly tell that it's him, and you never watched the story, didn't know who to look out for. You could have just gave assistance to a goddamn killer. So it's very good that you know who this person is, or you have a mental image of who he is. His image is out there. The guy is a goddamn menace. Has been for the last year, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, the whole thing with the White House and him going to the White House with the guns, and him probably having a criminal record all the way in Illinois, where he's from, to this right here probably being his biggest crime committed yet. And he's still on the run. They still don't know where he is. Now we can see why they're dragging their feet to try and catch him. Look at who the victims are. Now, if one of the victims happened to be the shooter, oh, they would have been caught them. They probably would have apprehended them before this event even occurred. And they're already going to try to use the whole, oh, he had a mental illness, like I said in the video, because he was semi-nude. Don't let them go. Don't let the mainstream media go and over exaggerate and say, oh, he was completely naked. He wasn't completely naked. He has some layers. He has some clothing on. He wasn't completely clothed, but he has some clothing on. But I do offer my condolences to the family and friends of these individuals. The way I found out about all the victims was through her. I found out her name, typed it in, and then all the other victims' names and pictures popped up. So my condolences to all of the family, friends and everything. And again, another huge shout out to James Shaw Jr. He did what he felt he needed to do. I know it's like a thing going through his head that he probably wishes he could have saved all of them, but especially when it comes to the ones outside, it's kind of hard to do or say someone like that, because when you get ambushed like that, because that's basically what happened. When you get ambushed like that, you are not prepared, even when you are prepared, if that makes sense. Because you can have a firearm on you, but if someone comes up there with an AR and they just start blasting the minute they come to the door, you can't be too prepared for something like that, because you never know it's going to happen. It's not like they're sending out a notice saying, I'm coming in here in about 5 minutes and I'm going to start shooting people. So it's not like you're going to have enough time to plan an escape route. Especially the two guys outside. They definitely couldn't have seen that coming, especially because, it's dark. And, but it's unfortunate. Y'all let me know what you think down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to you in the next one.